All right, just a brief walkthrough on communication. We're unmanned aircraft pilots. Occasionally, according to the mission, will have to operate near an airport, whether it's an uncontrolled airport or controlled airport. We have to operate near an airport, and as so, we will need to communicate with other air traffic, or if it's entering controlled airspace, we'll need to talk to air traffic controllers. And so there's certain techniques, communication techniques, that will make things clear and understandable. If we use the same patterns of speaking, of communicating, it improves understanding, right? If we just randomly start rattling something off, and you've been around people like that, who start rambling on about something, and you're like, what are they talking about? First, give me some context. Well, in aviation, we have a pattern which helps to make communication clear. So first, the obstacles to communication are the fact that for a unmanned aircraft, we'll use some kind of handheld radio like this, because we don't have a radio on the airplane or anything like that typically. So we'll use something that's fairly short range, got to be within 5, maybe 6, 7 miles from a ground-based operator like the control tower or air traffic controllers. For air, it's a little bit further distance because the manned aircraft is higher altitude, so it's all line of sight. This is all line of sight communication. Also, there's an issue with the microphone. We have a noise-canceling microphone right here, and the technique for using a noise-canceling microphone is to talk very closely, because the canceling part is that all this ambient sound goes in both sides of the microphone and cancels out. So you want to make sure you're not talking like this. If I'm talking this far away from the radio, it's just noise. So you talk very clearly right into the microphone, whether you've got a handheld microphone or something like this. It's clearly into the microphone. Obviously, in order to transmit, you have to push the button. But I'm not pushing the button because I don't want to transmit. Right now I'm on the CTAF frequency for Griffin-Spalding County Airport. So for me to push that button now, I'm in the building, they probably wouldn't hear. Nobody would hear me, but we're not going to do it then. But that's how you do it. You push the button. You listen first because somebody else is talking. Perhaps, we don't know, there may be a number of other aircraft in the air right now that are talking and exchanging information about their either coming into land or getting ready to depart from the Griffin Airport. So if we're going to communicate, we want to take our turn. It's a turn-based kind of thing. Everybody's open mic, I guess, would be the best way to put it, perhaps. So you got to listen when nobody's talking, then you push the button and you start talking. Well, here's the pattern. The pattern is, first, we have to address who we're talking to. Now, specifically right now, we're talking about uncontrolled airports. So let's say I'm over by the First Methodist Church in Griffin. That's about maybe a little less, around 2 miles, maybe at the most, east of the Griffin Airport. Well, I want to operate. I want to take some pictures of let's say I'm taking pictures of the church, perhaps. Don't know. But I don't really need to be much higher than 150 feet above the ground, so it's perfectly legal to fly in that area, right? The base of controlled airspace there is what? Right, 700 feet. So it's perfectly acceptable for me to fly in that area, but I want the other aircraft in the area to know what I'm doing, right? So first off I say, who am I talking to? Well, I'm not talking to a tower, I'm not talking to a person, but I'm talking to other air traffic. So I say Griffin-Spalding County traffic, or I can shorten it up to say Griffin traffic. That's who I'm talking to. All of the traffic out there that might be interested in coming to land or leaving the Griffin-Spalding Airport, because we're all on the same frequency. How do I know? Because I've looked at the chart. The chart tells me, since the airport symbol is in magenta, that it's an uncontrolled airport, and then off to the side it says Griffin-Spalding County Airport, 6A2, AWAS, frequency 1975. That's where we get the weather. And it says 958 feet. That's MSL, right? That's the elevation of the airport. L lighted in the length of the runway, but then it has 123.075 with a magenta C. That means it's Common Traffic Advisory Service, right? That's the frequency that people communicate with other people. More specifically, air traffic communicates with each other through that frequency. Just announcing, just self-announcing, hey, here's what I'm doing, here's where I'm going. Everybody should be doing that, going in and out of this airport. And they use the same technique. So as you're listening and somebody says, Griffin Spalding traffic, Cessna 42 Charlie, departing runway 32, well, you know what they're doing, right? And he'll also say, or she will also say, I'm going to head to the east. I'm taking off runway 32, heading to the east. Now that a little light bulb goes off in your head, if you're east of the airport, this guy might be, or gal might be heading my way. So that's the way it works. In the same way, we're talking to those people. We're saying, Griffin Spalding traffic, this is Southern Crescent drone number 1. So, who are we talking to? Who are we? Where are we? And then you tell them where you are. The other guy said he was ready to take off from the airport, so you know where he is. Now you got to tell him where you are. Well, I'm 2 miles east of the airport at 150 feet or below. Maneuvering at 150 feet below, or whatever you were going to do. Taking pictures 150 feet below. And then at the end of the conversation, of making that statement, then you also repeat Griffin Spalding traffic, or Griffin traffic. So that's the way it goes. We say, who are we talking to? Who are we? Where are we? What do we want to do? And then finish off by repeating Griffin traffic. So we're in Griffin. We're operating. We've already made our announcement. We're flying around 150 feet, 2 miles or a mile and a half east of the Griffin Airport, and we've got the radio on because we want to know if somebody else comes up. We want to keep communication open, so the radio's on, it's clipped to our belt, whatever, it's handy, so we can listen to the radio as we're doing our operation. And let's just say, for an example, helicopter calls. And he's going to say something similar. He's going to say, Griffin Spalding Airport, helicopter 6-7 November, 10 miles to the east, inbound for landing. Griffin Spalding Airport. Well, so that tells you this guy, because he's coming into the same airport I'm close to. Let's see, 10 miles to the east. Hey, I'm 2 miles from the east, so and if he's going to go to the airport, he's going to have to fly right over me, or close to me. So you hear this and you go, let me grab the radio, or you get your visual observer to get the radio, or you let your buddy take the controls just long enough for you to pick up the radio, and you say, Griffin Spalding traffic, Southern Crescent drone number 1. We're 2 miles east of the Griffin Airport at 150 feet or below maneuvering. Griffin traffic. So you're telling this helicopter pilot where you are, because he might not have been on the frequency. He might have just been checking on. He picked up some sick patient. He's bringing him to where he's finished with his mission. He's coming back to the airport to land and get fuel, or whatever he's doing. So now he knows where you are. You know where he is. Good. This is communication. Now we both know what we're doing. Now he may say he could do a number of things. He might come back and say, Griffin traffic, this is helicopter so-and-so. We're at 200 feet. Of course, he's closer now because it's been a minute or two since you talked. We're at 200 feet inbound to Griffin Airport. And you're going to sigh and you're going to go, what am I going to do? That's obviously what you have to do because you know the rules. The rules say that's a manned aircraft. You're an unmanned aircraft. You have to give way. So you just go down. You get lower quickly. Get down as low as you can without crashing into the trees or anything like that. You just have to descend to get out of his way because we must give way to all manned aircraft. And you sigh because he could have been a good bro there and just climbed up a little higher, right? That would have been a nice thing for him to do, but apparently he's not going to do that. So you get out of his way no matter what. Cool, everybody's happy. Because if you don't get out of his way, if you say, it's my right, I can fly at 150 feet, and I already told him I'm 150 feet, I'm going to stick to my guns, I'm going to be stubborn, I want to get my back up, and I don't care what he does. Well, he's going to fly down there, and he's going to see you 50 feet below him, and he's going to go, oh my goodness, those outrageous drone pilots. And he's going to deviate, and he's going to get on the ground, and he's going to call the FAA. The FAA is going to, call law enforcement or somebody to come out and tell you did a no-no. You're not supposed to do that. And who knows? Maybe a fine, maybe a warning. Who knows? We don't want that. Okay, we don't want the hassle. We don't want to do that. Even though the helicopter, I know helicopter pilots. They're good guys, okay, and gals. They're not looking for trouble, but we don't want to cause trouble or don't need to have cause trouble. Okay, so that's enough of that. But those are some of the things you need to think about. We constantly want to be listening to the frequency, and especially in an uncontrolled airport, even in a controlled airport. So we'll go there next. Let's go to a controlled airport. Let's go to Columbus, Georgia. That's a controlled airport. We know that because we pull up the chart before we have this mission. Somebody called and said, I want to put photographs of, to make it easy for my brain, we'll say, I've got a house 2 miles east of the Columbus airport. He gives us lat long, and you look it all up on the chart and you find, oh my goodness, it's 2 miles east of the airport. Well, we got problems now because that's all controlled airspace. So you try your best to get blank permission, or you might have to get a waiver. I don't know, but either way, you're going to end up having to talk to air traffic controllers. So we look at the chart and it says it's a controlled airport because the little icon on the chart is blue. It means it's controlled. And we look around the airport. We look for the thing that says Columbus, and then we see all these numbers. We see CT dash. That stands for control tower. That's the frequency, 120.1. So we've done everything we can. We're on the ground 2 miles east near the location, getting ready to launch. We dial into the radio, 120.1, listen for a little while. If it's not very busy, we key the mic and say, Columbus Tower. Drone, or Southern Crescent drone number 1, 2 miles east, request permission to operate 150 feet or 100 feet and below in this area. And listen. Well, probably what you're going to hear is traffic calling Columbus. Say again? Because he didn't understand it. It's for whatever reason. You have a fairly weak radio. Maybe he didn't hear it. Whatever. That's okay. You're patient. You go, okay, I'll do it again. Columbus Tower. Key the mic. Hold the microphone real close. Columbus Tower. Southern Crescent drone number 1, 2 miles east of the Columbus airport, requesting operation 100 feet and below in this area. And then the tower is going to come back and give you instructions. He may just deny it outright, say, no, we're too busy, can't do that. Or he may say, roger that, approved, stay on this frequency and listen. If I have inbound, basically he's saying, if I have inbound traffic, I want to be able to call you and tell you, get down, because this guy's coming into land or whatever. He may say a number of different things. And if you don't understand what he says, you just say, Columbus Tower, Southern Crescent drone number 1, say again? And he could say a number of things. He might just tell you to call him on the phone. He might say, let me know when you're ready to copy the phone number. Call me at the tower. Call my tower. And he'll give you a phone number, then you call him up and you talk to him a little bit. He wants to know a little bit about it. He wants to know if you're just some goofball or if you're a professional drone pilot. He doesn't know, but he's probably going to appreciate you calling him, because most of the times these guys buy a drone at the Walmart and just start flying around and just disturbing traffic and causing all kinds of mayhem. We don't want to be those guys, okay? So don't be embarrassed if you don't understand what the tower air traffic controller is saying at first. Just be patient with them. They be patient with you. And if the communication, if they say negative, not approved, you just got to pack up your stuff and try again another day. There's not much recourse that you have for that. So those are the... Okay, there's another issue as well that I want to briefly talk about. videos turn out to be longer than I thought. The other issue is that English is the international language of aviation, okay? But not all English is the same. I'm from the northern part of the United States, and some people say I have an accent. I don't think so, and some people from the South have an accent. But then there's people that English is not even their first language. Air traffic controllers and pilots from all over the world use English, some with very heavy accents. So we have a particular phonetic alphabet that we use when we're reading off letters or numbers, because there are some words that sound like that language and it means something totally different, so we use those words. If you look at this module or this episode, there's a picture there of the international pronunciation of these, or phonetic pronunciations of these letters and numbers as well. The famous one is the number 9. If you're a German and if you speak German, 9 means no. So you don't want to confuse no with the number 9, right? So we use the word niner. And that's how you can tell an airline pilot when you talk to them and they say, yes, I'll meet you at 9 o'clock. You go, okay, he's an airline pilot, or a pilot at least. That's an old joke. How do you tell an airline, or how do you tell a pilot from the rest of the population? Well, if it's a Delta pilot, you'll know in the first 5 minutes because he'll tell you he's a Delta pilot. But I mean, generally speaking, if you hear somebody say niner in conversation, that means they're a pilot. So anyway, practice that. Say niner whenever you mean 9. I'm joking. So look over that. You don't need to know the Morse code. For trivia, maybe, sure. So clear communication. Again, who are you talking to? Who are you? Where are you? What do you want to do? That's the procedure for initial contact. After that, listen. If you don't understand, say again. Yes. To use the word yes when you agree, or it's affirmative, because yes sounds like other things. No is negative. So yes is affirmative, no is negative. Those are the words you use for those. So that's about it for communication. We will discuss this more at during this episode, in this lesson. We'll talk about it, do some practice examples as well. Thanks.